Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
Hey Darth, it's me, Adam. How's it going?
Go
Good
ahead.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, yeah, so we were having a conversation yesterday, and this kind of actually starts to tie into what we were talking about. So this might be a good
Okay.
kind of point to
Okay.
jump
You,
in.
you want to defend that proposition?
That everything that I'm acquainted with does not necessitate
Yeah.
God.
Of all the set of the things that you believe or know, that
hmm
none of those things necessitate referencing the necessity of God. Do you like to defend that?
Now, if I understand correctly, from what you were saying, I would have to first show that there is no God to be able to counter that, wouldn't I?
You would
From what from our conversation
yeah.
yesterday.
In
Yeah.
order to establish that nothing is evidence for God or nothing necessitates referencing the necessity of God, you would first have to determine God doesn't exist. Otherwise, that would be a vacuous claim on your part.
So why would I start with assuming that there's a God to prove that there isn't? Like when I think of evidence, normally when I look at something that say, for example, in this case, the proposition, is this fact that I'm aware of, is God required for it or not? So 1 + 1 = 2. Is God required for that or not? I don't believe it is. So that would be one fact.
You have a justification for that?
That 1 + 1 = 2?
No. That any proposition that is true does not necessitate referencing the necessity of God.
Well, I would think I would start from the point of trying to find out if there is a God by looking at the
Yeah,
facts, right?
you have a nasty habit of not answering my questions, but segueing on us to a semi-related rabbit trail.
Um, I think I'm just trying to understand, like, and that's
So
part of
you're
my
not gonna
segue.
so you're not gonna answer the question then.
Well, no, I'm trying to understand your question.
So
So,
you're not gonna answer the question. Okay. So we
well,
see a
only if I can
pattern.
understand.
We see a
Only if I can
pattern
understand your
developing here.
question. Only if I
Okay.
can understand your
Yeah. The
question can
question
I
is
answer it.
very simple.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Shoot it at me again.
Yeah. So defend the statement that all the facts that you're acquainted with don't necessitate referencing the necessity of God.
S- But that's not a question. That's a statement that you're
Yeah. Can you
stating.
can you defend that proposition?
Well, I don't think it's required of me
It
to
is required
even.
of you. Are you claiming that you do not know God?
I don't believe in God.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
do you have a rationale? Remember how we discussed the difference between knowledge and belief is sometimes a matter of emphasis?
sure. And I recall our
Okay. So
conversation last
so
time. I
is
was
your
talking
when
about.
you
Sorry,
don't
go ahead.
believe in God, is your God denialism rational or not rational?
I believe it's rational, and one
Good.
of the
What is the
points that I pointed
rational
out.
what is
Yeah.
the rational basis that you believe there is no God?
Well, one of the points that I had pointed out last time was I don't believe that there can be a disembodied mind.
Yeah, that was already debunked and you did not offer a counter rebuttal.
Oh, I thought we agreed that it was rational for me not to believe in something if I didn't have evidence for it.
Right. But you
And I don't
do
have
you
evidence
but
for
then
a
but then
disembodied
you're
mind.
but then what you're saying is
Yeah.
all of the facts that you're acquainted with do not necessitate or are evidence that what is ultimate is an unembodied mind, God.
Well, and how does that work? Because, like, if God had
Yeah,
created
you
everything.
keep on
No, no,
dodge. It doesn't matter
I'm not
how
dodging. No, no, I'm
it
not
doesn't
dodging.
matter. Please don't overtalk me. Okay. It doesn't matter how it works at this juncture. You see, you have a nasty habit of trying to segue onto semi-related topics rather than to stick at the topic at hand. Okay. That's why I'm staying focused here. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Can you defend the proposition that it's rational for you to believe that all the facts you're acquainted with do not necessitate referencing the necessity of God?
Yes. The reason
Good.
why I think that is
How do you do that?
the reason why I think that is if we say that everything is evidence for God, then you can't say that there's anything that's evidence for God because there's nothing to contrast it to.
Um, why would that? Why would something not contrasting to it mean that that proposition is false?
Well, I would have to evaluate if there is something
Yeah,
like
you're
there has
giving
to be
me
something else.
you're giving me convoluted responses. I would like for you to give me a clear defense that it is rational for you to believe that all the facts that you are acquainted with do not, in fact, necessitate referencing the necessity of God. Can you please address that?
Oh, that I'm acquainted with. Well, I'd have to look at each fact bit by bit. So if there's even one fact that I can look at, then that would negate the necessity of God, correct? So if I could even look at one fact, not all facts.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you the question, so maybe you can clarify. If I can look at just one fact,
Any fact at all.
any fact,
Go
one,
ahead. Go ahead.
okay, 1 + 1 = 2.
Hmm. And how did you conclude that that set of abstract objects and their relationships do not necessitate referencing the necessity of God?
Well, first by observation. I can look at
Can
two
you
different
see
objects,
can you
one
see
object from
abstract?
another.
Oh,
Yeah,
stop right there. See, now
yeah,
you're
go for it.
baiting and switching. Can you
Well, I'm
see
trying to just have
Can
this
you
conversation.
please don't
Yeah, go ahead.
overtalk me? I'm
Go
get
ahead.
really I'm beginning to get irritated with you with your constantly segueing, not answering my questions, and then segueing onto semi-related topics, and then you start overtalking me. Okay,
Go ahead.
now one, two plus two, 1 + 2 is three, whatever, 2 + 2 is four, whatever.
Yep,
These are abstract objects. Can you see abstract objects?
I can see objects, solid objects, yeah.
Okay. Is that an answer to my question?
Can I see abstract? Well, I give,
Okay. Did you answer?
property, like
Did you answer?
well, no,
Okay. Listen to me.
alright, go ahead.
You have dodged my questions multiple times. If you persist in evading my simple and clear questions, then the interaction is going to come to a screeching halt. Okay. Do
Alright,
you
can I see
understand?
abstract objects?
Did you
No.
understand what I just said?
Yes, I did. No, I
Okay.
can't see abstract objects.
Okay, so now what you did is you baited and you switched. You were talking about abstract objects. Now
Yeah.
you're talking about concrete objects. Okay?
Aren't they one and the same in this sense?
No. So we're going to try again. Um, how do you defend the proposition that your belief is rational, that facts do not necessitate referencing the necessity of God?
I rationalize it by just having to look at one fact that I'm aware of. I don't have to look at all facts, but just one fact. And and this is where I have a hard time understanding what you're saying because in my mind, and please understand, I'm not trying to dodge or evade. This is just from my mind and how I'm looking at things. Um, I look at two objects, two material objects. I give them the or I say this is one object, this is another object. The two of them together equals two. I don't need to reference God to come to that conclusion.
So do those objects exist as self contained and independent of the existence of God?
I don't know. I can't answer that one.
Good, then that was a non-answer then. Because either you will believe that
Yeah,
facts necessitate referencing the necessity of God, or you will
right,
believe that they don't necessitate referencing the necessity of God. That could be restated as believing in the dependence of facts upon God versus believing in the independence of facts. You are claiming that it is rational for you to believe in the independence of facts from God. I
right.
want you to give me a defense of that.
Well, I gave you an example. Could you explain how that's not a
Explain. Okay,
defense?
so in order for you to say that any individual facts, whatever they may be, don't
Yeah,
necessitate referencing God as the necessary precondition. Remember,
right.
God is defined as what is ultimate and the creator, the source of all possibility.
and a mind.
Have you excluded God as the ultimate reference point because you have in fact determined what those facts ultimately derive and depend upon?
Have I determined that God isn't? Oh, that's a confusing question for
Have
me.
you No, it's not a confusing question at all. It's
Well,
actually a
it is
very
for me.
simple question,
I'm
okay?
sure it is.
Okay.
It's
Have you
confusing. Yeah.
determined, I'll repeat it again.
Yeah.
Have you determined, okay, what it is that is ultimate, that is the source of all possibility and contingency? Have you determined what that is and that it's not God?
No, I haven't determined
Then you
that.
then how
I've
did you
got a
rule it?
belief
Then
though. Yeah.
how did you rationally fulfill your belief that those facts in question do not necessitate God as ultimate when you do not know or believe what is ultimate? How did you exclude God?
That's a good question. How did I exclude God? Hmm. I think, well, like you had mentioned before, we kind of come into these things with our own preconditions,
Yeah,
right?
you're
Yeah.
dodging
No, no,
again.
no.
Okay, you
I'm having a
listen to me.
conversation with you, bud.
Okay, listen, we're almost done here. Okay, I told you that if you
Yeah.
persist in dodging the question, okay, and start giving me rhetorical flourishes by which you're trying to segue onto semi-related rabbit trails, the conversation would be over. This is your last warning. Okay, because I dealt with you yesterday, and
Yeah.
as cordial
Well, and
as you are, and
it was
as
pleasant
cordial
yesterday.
as you
Yeah.
are, yeah, and it's pleasant today. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's only so much of your verbal evasion that I'm going to put up with. Now, I've warned you multiple times. Stop dodging. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
How did you determine that God is not the necessary precondition of all facts?
I haven't.
Okay, but so your belief that God is in fact not the necessary precondition then is not rationally derived. It's therefore irrational.
That's hmm.
You have
Yeah,
no
I don't.
rational basis why you have excluded God as the necessary precondition of facts.
But why would I jump to the conclusion that God is the necessary
Okay, now you're
as opposed
changing
to
the subject.
no? Well,
The
it's a
issue
part of
at
it is.
hand,
Yeah,
why are
yeah.
you over talking me? The issue at hand, by the way, I'll be glad to discuss with you, and I talk about this every day, why you should believe in God. Okay. Number one, I'll give it to you on the short list, but we're not going to derail the topic here. Okay. The short list is you should believe in God because God has revealed himself through everything. Okay. Everything that you know reveals God, whether or not you accept that proposition that I've just given. And the denial thereof results in catastrophic and complete absurdity. Okay. Now, I've answered the question in short. I can give you a much longer, prolonged, excuse me, defense of it. But you stepped up to the plate to
Sure.
defend that you don't know God. That requires you to defend that all the facts that you're acquainted with do not necessitate referencing the necessity of God.
Well,
Have you defended that proposition?
I'm trying to step in front of the pitch, so you hit me and I get to throw
Have
the dig.
you defended the proposition?
Um, Not to your satisfaction. I
No,
think it
don't don't
requires.
don't
I think it
pull
requires. No,
don't
no,
pull don't pull
it's
that
okay, Darth. Just calm
sleazy
down.
maneuver not
It's
to
not
my
sleep.
satisfaction. Okay, we're done with you. Thank you for your time.
Hey,
You
I
want to
do
play this
appreciate
little game?
chatting.
Yeah,
No,
thank you for your time. Okay,
can we
you
chat
want to pull
another
that
time?
sleazy maneuver? Yeah, we can talk another time when you
All
want
right.
to talk like a grown up. Okay,
Hey, Darth, I am
you're
a
gonna
grown
pull
up.
that sleazy maneuver
It's
that
not
somehow
sleazy.
I'm okay. Okay,
Okay,
server
no,
mute this
I
dumbass.
appreciate.
Server mute him. Server mute him. We're done with you, sir. You know what? I gave you ample opportunity to defend your case. Didn't overtalk you. Sat quietly. You dodge, 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 dodge. And then when I point out that you did not defend the proposition, then you have the gall. Okay, you have the Charles de Gaulle to say that you didn't answer the question to my satisfaction. Okay, that's a sleazy response. Okay. By the way, did you get that, Tom Rabbit?